A brand new ass radiator with every fin knocked in on it. Looks good, bro. They look nice. Now let's see what these puppies can do. Damn! I'd say they can move some air. So with the LS motor, we definitely got some go power, but today we're gonna work on our cooling power for that go power. So let's take a closer look at this thing over at the table. It's actually the same radiator that I ran in my truck, with the only difference being I upgraded to these SPAL fans. I guarantee you they're moving the amount of CFM they're advertised at versus a lot of the cheaper ones are advertised at a high number and then barely move any air at all. It comes just how you see it here with the shroud already. It has some louvers in it, pretty bitchin' looking. And it's all assembled. You don't even have to bolt it together. On the front of the tanks, on this back side here, there's 2 bungs on each side where you can mount this thing. This unit's gonna cost you $350 like it is. When you look at these part numbers on eBay, you can't even buy one of these fans for like, I think cheaper than $140 a piece for one fan. So you get the 2 fans, the shroud and the radiator all assembled for $350. Pretty good deal. If you want the setup like it's in my truck, it's basically the same thing with cheaper fans through the same people. It's $199. And like I said, I've had no issues out of it. I just figured if I was gonna go for it, why not upgrade it all the way? So let's take this over there and take a look at what it's gonna take to get it in there. And as always, be kind to your radiators. They protect you from overheating, so you can protect their fins and not beat the crap out of them when you install your radiators. So if we wanted to make this work like this, we could. I have it half centered up, so what we'd have to do is trim off this sheet metal right here, so that could come back on each side. You can see down there, I have it sitting on the frame right now just because that outlet won't let it sit down. But if you wanted your radiator that high, which it looks fine, you could trim that sheet metal, close that gap back, get it mounted, and there's room underneath there to put a hose on. But if I'll notch that frame where we can sit it down, just like on my truck, I can build it where the shroud sits flush with this, which I like the way that looks. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pull the whole front end off this thing so we can notch that frame. That front end comes off quick. So here's some rough marks from when I had it down in there. It needs to be above, at least right there. Probably come back to here. So I'm probably just gonna overdo it and come all the way down here and then back up into here somewhere. Just that way we have plenty of room. So all I'm gonna do is cut a piece and set it here and weld it in, and then cut a piece for the back, just very similar to how we capped this front the first time. So on our radiator here, the outside to outside is 31 inches, and center of the bung to center of the bung is 28 and some change. I think like 28 and a quarter. So if we come up here on our core support, before we put this back on, if you go the 31 to 31, or outside to outside the 31 inches of the radiator, it's basically gonna end up in the middle of these supports here. And what we're gonna do is drill 3 holes on each side and do nut certs in there. I need to pop these clips
And then we'll drill 3 holes, 5/8 of an inch off the edge in, and put some 3/8 nut certs in there. Hey, we can make this thing disappear now. It can sit so low in there. So I centered this up in here. And the way I centered it up is basically leaning that back all the way. There leaves like an 1/8 inch from where I removed those old clips. And I got that matching pretty well on each side. So this is kind of hard to show, but basically I want the adapter plate to end up right at this edge. I don't want it to overhang. It'll just be a cleaner look if it stops right there. So if I lay my tape measure there at 3 inches, because I'm going to use some 3-inch strap, and then lean that radiator back, that bung is lining up at 11/16. So we are going to go cut some pieces of strap and mark over from the one edge at 11/16 and drill our 2 holes for our bungs. Well, that sucks. So if you measure from center of the nutcert to center of the nutcert, it's 32 1/8. So come over here on my bracket, measured in on the top on each side until I got my marks where it's right at 32 1/8. And I know from the top of this, I need to come down 3/4 of an inch. So I'm gonna come down, drill a hole on each side, and we'll get the top ones started. Well, threw this thing in, 1 bolt each side. So before I put it in next to the nutcerts, I put a mark where I can just go down through there and mark where the next 2 holes need drilled. So I'm gonna mark them, drill 2 holes on each side, and then since our bung hangs down, I don't know, somewhere down in here, I'm gonna put a mark right below wherever the bung stops, and then a mark right up here since this bracket stops here, and I'm gonna end up cutting this bracket off in some way that looks better than just a squared off bracket. And I'll probably round just these outside corners up there. I did end up stepping out all these holes to a 1/2 inch, and the reason for that, I remember now from my truck, our supports in there are not perfectly square as far as running up and down perfectly straight. So it would work the way we were doing it with keeping these squared to each other, but then our edges wouldn't match up on the outside, these edges to the outside of it, and since that's what you can see, I'm more worried about that. So this is still a good way to do it. Now we just have a little adjustability.
I was really worried that that was gonna look too custom, not really have like a factory look to it underneath the hood of this thing. Kind of like I'm trying to style everything else, and it was gonna stick out real bad. But with the motor in there and the hoses and the electric fans, it really don't stick out near as bad as I thought it was going to. And I think with the sheet metal little cover there on top, shroud, whatever you want to call it, that we can really make this thing look right sitting in here. So it looks like the factory hoses will work with trimming them down. This one is clearing the frame over here. It's really close, and I may end up putting another little beveled kind of notch in the frame right there for the hose, but that'll be after I disassemble everything. I'm not going to take it all apart to do that again. But I should be able to trim down the factory hoses and make them work. So overall, easy project, and it makes the front look more complete. Looks pretty bitchin'. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Maybe got an idea that can help you out on one of your projects, or at least enjoyed watching it anyhow. If you're new to the channel, please check out some of the other videos. And if you always come back, like always, thank you guys. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch my videos. If you're on Instagram, I'm on there at Puddin's Fab Shop if you want to give me a follow. And I will see you guys next time. But don't forget, sitting on your ass won't finish your project. I'll see you guys next time. Use the cardboard. It comes with it usually. Protect it.